Hey, ESPN, I'm Jack.
And I'm Miles from the Daily Zeitgeist, a daily comedic news podcast that answers the question,
what if Stephen A. Smith spoke at a normal volume and his opinions were based on fact and not completely insane? This probably isn't the best way to describe this.
No, you just negated the two things Stephen A. Smith is known for.
Okay, what if The Daily Show was hosted by us?
Yes, but who is us?
Okay, I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of Crack.com.
And I'm Miles. I love soccer and get very nervous when I'm pulled over by the police.
He's also a former lobbyist who quit politics for comedy.
Yeah. Well, look, we covered news, the president, pop culture, and we're both very big sports fans.
I'm actually named after my grandfather, legendary NBA coach and ESPN alum Dr. Jack Ramsey.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm named after Miles Davis, the legendary heroin addict who is not my grandfather.
So search the Daily Zeitgeist. If you don't know how to spell zeitgeist, like most of us, just type in Daily Z. It'll figure it out for you. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free.
Well, slow jam as we move a little closer and closer to Christmas. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. It's starting to feel realer. Right?
Yes,
starting to feel realer like the holidays.
You say realer?
Realer. Or
is that
realist.
a word?
I don't know. I just
More
made it
real?
up. More real.
I can't wait for Friday in the sweater.
Have you seen the sweater?
Oh, yeah, my wife got them.
Okay.
We got them. I brought them here, and they're
hidden.
stowed away in the
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Don't be a
what's going
Scrooge.
on. I
either.
won't. I will embrace it.
Okay.
I will embrace it.
That's all I'm asking.
All right. We are here. We are rolling through on this Tuesday. Lots to get to, but there is something that we do need to address. There was something that happened here at ESPN Monday that took, quite frankly, all of us by surprise. Happened yesterday morning that our president, John Skipper, announced he has resigned from ESPN, and he has been dealing with some substance abuse issues that he said for many, many years. I think we all were sort of taken aback by the announcement yesterday. None of us, we just had that big talent meeting
a few days ago,
and John was leading the charge there, and this certainly took us all by surprise.
Yeah, it did. Nobody saw this one coming at all, and like he or anybody that would have we talked a lot about it with Josh Gordon getting chances to come back and play in the league, and the most important thing is to take care of your life before anything else. So, as is with anybody with a substance abuse problem, is you hope that person gets help and can deal with what they have to deal with and get on and hopefully have a productive life.
Absolutely. John has been a big part of my 20 years here, and so we just wanted to say that, John, we wish you all the best in your battle, and we hope that you come out better for it. And so that was what happened here on Monday. It was a big night in L.A. As well on Monday night as Kobe got both of his numbers retired. And we're talking about the idea, what if you had to have one jersey retired? Right. Two jerseys retired in one place or different places. And our fine researcher, Brett, came up with a list of NBA players that have had multiple jerseys retired. Wilt Chamberlain has 3, the Sixers, the Warriors, the Lakers.
Wow.
Kareem has a couple with the Bucks and Lakers as well. Pete Maravich, the Jazz and the Hornets. Julius Erving, the Nets and the Sixers. But I thought this was the most interesting one. Michael Jordan has his Heat jersey, had his Bulls jersey retired, and also had the Heat retired his jersey. He never even played there. That
says something, huh?
You never even played for the Miami Heat,
and they retired your number.
And they retired your jersey.
That's a bit much, if you ask me.
It's certainly a sign of respect.
Yes, I would say it is. I would say it is.
That one topped the charts for me.
Listen, there is something to.
I thought I missed something when he put that list together.
I would say, wait a minute, did we miss a comeback? Yeah. Another comeback. But listen, there's something to having your entire 20-year career in one. With one team.
Right.
We know I got drafted by the Hornets, obviously never played there, went to the Lakers. There was the flirtation of the thought of a trade with Chicago at one point, but he stays with the Lakers all 20 of the years, and you still have the what-ifs of if he and Shaq stayed together, they win 3 in a row, and then they basically, Kobe wants to be the guy, doesn't want to have, be Robin to Shaq's Batman at that point, and wants to on his own, and he does. He gets a couple of more, so he ends up with 5. Shaq did say that he and Kobe are the best 1-2 punch basically ever, and so he says along with that, we're the best 1-2 punch for the Lakers. I would imagine there may be those that disagree and think it might be Kareem and Magic. You know, that's the thing about the Lakers. The Lakers, you can go a few ways, you know, with some of the
Magic
greats
and Worthy,
they've had in the past. But I would think you go Kareem and Magic would be the two together. They won 5 championships, 80, 82, 85, 87.
I think we're shorting
88.
the Magic Rambus tenure. I'm just going to throw that out there. Rambus
Those
youth
glasses.
with those glasses.
You wore them just like you wore from the Hanson triplets from Slapshot.
Correct.
You know, those
correct. Or the
glasses.
Revenge of the Nerds guys.
There you go.
Same thing.
Exactly. So that to me is interesting. Is about the greatest, because I think the greatest Laker is Magic Johnson. You know, there will be those that'll say Kareem, those that say Kobe, but then you start talking about duos. That's a heck of a duos against one another, Shaq and Kobe or Kareem and Magic.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of choices, and I'm not sure any of those are wrong.
Yeah.
But Kobe is certainly part of that conversation now, and as the retirement ceremony took place at halftime, he said a lot of things, including what it meant for him to be a Laker.
I want to say, you know, it's thank you so much for tonight. But you know, it's not about my jerseys that are hanging up there for me. You know, it's about the jerseys that were hanging up there before. You know, without them, I couldn't be here today. They inspired me to play the game at a high level. Magic, Cap, Shaq pushing me every day. Baylor, Chamberlain, Goodrich, West, Worthy, goes on. And secondly, it's about this class organization. And Jerry Buss, your father, believing in a skinny old kid from Lower Marion High School in Philadelphia.
Quite a night, and you know, just listening to him list off all of those Lakers. I mean, it really is. I mean, the Lakers, the Celtics. There's certain teams that just have this pantheon of unbelievable players that have always gone through their organization.
And you see a lot of them that were there last night. And we're talking about duos. What Shaq said about he and Kobe. I bring up Magic and Kareem. How about Jerry West and Elgin Baylor?
Pretty good.
I mean, it's ridiculous what goes on there. So, you know, as far as the duos with West and Baylor. So, a great night, a deserved night, no doubt about it. 1 year ago from last night, Tim Duncan had his jersey retired for San Antonio. And to me, I think it's an interesting debate. We talk about all-time greats with Kobe, but how about in that era of he and Duncan? Who was better?
Yeah.
Again, you can't go wrong. There are some that think you can go wrong if you choose one or the other.
Well, in this day and age, someone will always think you're wrong.
Yeah, they will, but I mean,
there's no way around that one.
These are, without question, two of the all-time greats, no doubt about it. So, it's just fun debating about all-time greats and what your particular criteria is or, you know, what you're ranking, what your pros and cons are for certain players. But a good night for Kobe last night to have both 8 and 24 retired for the Lakers.
Very, very cool. So that's one thing that happened on Monday night. Here's what else is trending. The Thunder beat the Nuggets last night by a point with really no help from Carmelo Anthony, taking 6 shots, made 4 points. He says he's cool with it because they won.
Well, I think you come across as a little selfish, and we know to be a great player, you're going to be a little selfish anyway, but nobody wants to hear it. So nobody wants to hear, you know, I only got 6 shots. I'm not really cool with that. And you got the win. Right. So deep down, I'm sure he doesn't like taking 6 shots, but it wouldn't be something you publicly want to say.
No. Not only that. The Rockets beat the Jazz 120-99 for their 14th straight win. Eric Gordon, 17 of his season-high 33 in the fourth as the Houston Rockets win 120-99 over the Jazz on Monday night, plus an important question from first and last, 25 days of decisions. Would you rather host or travel on Christmas? That's always a great debate.
Wow,
because
host or travel?
It's either cooking or dealing with the hassle of the travel of the airport. So we'll get into that. We'll put that one up there as well as the real or fake tree issue.
I need to know the travel. Is it plane travel?
Let's say you got a plane.
You got to get on a plane to travel.
You got to get on a plane.
Okay.
By the way, Christmas Day is really a good day to travel.
Absolutely,
that's the best day to travel because you can do whatever you want. There's no lines. If you have to travel on the holidays. Yeah. Traveling on Christmas is
horrible day to travel. The 26th, the day Chris and I travel.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
So you made that line in the sand, so you deal with it.
Sure did.
All right, we continue. Steve Young joins us, our NFL analyst, joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Steve, hard-hitting question first. Christmas tree, real or fake?
Why would you ever put a fake one out?
Oh, dude! Come to the dark side, brother.
Steve,
come to the dark side, Steve.
No sense.
I'll just answer it quick.
I go up and cut them down. You have to take the flatbed up there and back it up and try to haul it down. And I mean, this is a whole scene. I mean, that's offensive questions, right? Offensive.
That's 50-50 on the poll, so 50% think you're offensive. So just so you know.
And quite honestly, Steve, I'm with you. We were both with you, but it was my own fault. I dried out too many trees, so I made them fire hazards in my own home with kids growing up. So I kind of put myself in a bad situation. But because you're right, going out when the kids were younger and cutting down the tree was fantastic.
You know what? Just get the fake tree and then flock it. That's the ultimate.
There you go.
The ultimate no-no.
That's it.
You know what I mean? That's the ultimate no-no.
Or you can also get it pre-lit, as Tim has.
There you go. Get the lights on it.
He has the lighting there.
Costco, bro. That's you might as well just keep the Halloween lights up. Don't even go there.
Steve is strongly the Palo Alto. Steve Young is strongly in going through those tough highways in Palo Alto and finding that flatbread and chopping down a tree nowhere in Palo Alto, California.
Mean streets.
Mean streets of Palo Alto, just like where we grew up. The mean streets of Greenwich, Connecticut.
Greenwich.
Okay,
that's
Steve.
Right. I mean, tough out there.
It is. It's someone has to do it. All right. So the Falcons beat the Bucs. And they control their own fate or destiny, if you will. They win their last 2 games. They're going to be the NFC South champs for a second straight year. But are you concerned about anything you saw in the Monday night game with them?
Yeah, and I've been concerned all year. And, everyone wants to say it's Steve Sarkisian's the new offensive coordinator. Kyle Shanahan's gone. There's something. But there is something amiss. And the way I would describe it, because standing there 10 feet away is actually very helpful. What I felt was that they have all the talent in the world, and every down, they need to be productive. And the downs where they're 80% productive, even if it's 2 or 3 yards, what happens is because of the weight of all of the talent, it explodes on defense, and they can overcome any issues if they can just be productive down after down. And again, it's not big chunks; just get something done. But they get into these waves where they're 3 and out, and they don't get, or even whole quarters where they don't get productive. And Matt Ryan post halftime yesterday threw for like 15 yards, and they got the season on the line. And so there's something about the down-to-down productivity, and I guess we have to give Matt Ryan the biggest weight of it here because he's the quarterback. That with all of those guys, with all of that talent, you should figure out a way to just make 2 or 3 yards no matter what, and continue to put pressure. I felt like the 49ers when I was playing. We were really good. I continued to put pressure, and then it would explode on a defense, because you were so productive that, the big plays came. And Atlanta seems to be missing those, and I think a lot of it is just Matt deciding that I don't need 15 yards. I just need 2, and just every down get something done.
On the other side of that, Steve, because their season, they're not playing for anything anymore as far as playoffs are concerned for Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston, and we've been talking about him and Mariota a lot, coming from the same draft class, 1 and 2, how this year everybody was expecting that next step, and you didn't really get it from either one of those guys. But last night, Jameis played very well. So talk about, from his side of it, playing this well late in the season. Is there any kind of, hey, this is great late in the season as a springboard for next year? Do you buy into any of that, or has he just been too inconsistent for you?
Yeah, but Jameis it's at risk. I mean, he believes he's a franchise player. They drafted him to be a franchise player. There's a lot of heaviness around this team about him being that guy. Can he be that guy? Is there something they actually thinking about someone else? I mean, that's crazy to think about, but that's how the NFL works. And so it was important for him to be consistent yesterday, that he was going to just do the job, do the managing. Don't do spectacular things. Don't take on too much. Don't create problems for yourself. Don't be a swashbuckler. You don't have to put this team on your back every week, because then he makes the big mistakes and then it becomes his fault. Because he's the one that's losing the football games rather than and there's times when he wins them, but it's to your point, it's too inconsistent. And so to me, yesterday was consistent. It was mellow, right? It was just do your job, be productive, and then let the team kind of fill in the blanks behind you. And I thought yesterday was very productive. I thought he was, to what he can become yesterday was very important.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit on this show, Steve, as ESPN analyst Steve Young is with us, that it seems like both Mariota and Jameis have a little regressed. They were the 1-2 quarterbacks of the 2015 draft, and it sure seems like the ascendancy of the 1 and 2 quarterbacks taken in the 26th draft in Goff and Wentz has certainly given a different focus on what we're seeing out of both Mariota and Winston this year.
Yeah, and I think with Marcus, that team, what they're asking Marcus to do is much more limited. They want to run the football. They want to play ferocious defense, and they want Marcus to fill in the blanks and fill in behind and kind of manage things. And Marcus is, I think that's a team issue more than about Marcus in my mind. It's about a philosophy, and I would like to see him. Marcus is an explosive player, and just the opposite. I sound like I'm picking and choosing here, but for Jameis, I want him to be more steady, more stayed in what he tries to accomplish. And Marcus, I really do need to see him more explosive. So for different reasons, both of them are struggling.
Sorry.
We're talking to Steve Young on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL MVP, 96.8 passer rating. Wow.
Well, keep going. Well, this is great. I didn't expect that out of nowhere.
And
it's like a promo. It's like
went to high school with
promo. You guys are good.
Went to high school with Wingo and believes it should be a real Christmas tree in your house for Christmas. Blake Bortles, here's a guy, Steve, that I thought is not going to be in Jacksonville next year. They're going to go in a different direction. They got the defense, they got the running game, and they're going to go for a quarterback. And before these last 3 games in the previous 11, 7 out of those 11, he completed in the 50s or 40s of percentage of his passes. But the last 3 games, he has flat out been money. Why the change this late in the season? What are we seeing out of him that we weren't seeing before?
It's super exciting. And to me, if you're going to play professional football, what you want is to show up at a place where you have a ferocious defense, maybe top 2, and then have a great runner, right? You turn around and play action, and you come out, you pull the ball out of the belly of Leonard Fournette, and all of a sudden linebackers are in the line of scrimmage and safeties are wide, and you got all this space. It feels like college. And so to me, that's where you want to be. That's the money spot. And Blake, when he wasn't performing, he's like, look, if you can't perform the minimum here to help this team go be a champion, because you can see they have all these pieces in place, then literally you got to step aside. And so for him, I think it was like survival of his own career that he would go and start to fulfill the 4 or 5 throws that you need to do in that scenario to help this team get somewhere. And then he's actually added to it. So I think there's a confidence thing. It's a confidence game. It's an emotional game, football. And so it's not always just, it's purely on talent. And I can see that he's gaining confidence. The team's gaining confidence. Then the play caller gains confidence, and they call better plays. And because he comes out of play action and people are open, and he can hit the 1 or 2 guys, to go 1-2 on split the field and have to go 1-2. So those are all real positive developments for the Jaguars. And then if he can actually start to be the reason, which the last couple of weeks, that's when the Jags. You think, be honest. All of a sudden, you say the Jags going to New England. That's probably the number 1 threat for the New England Patriots right now, with the thing that hangs over the head of the Pittsburgh Steelers with the Patriots. The number 1 threat to the Steelers not going to the Super Bowl again, or the Jacksonville Jaguars. And be honest with you, Blake Bortles is a big piece of the reason in the last month. And if he can continue that, I'm actually backing the Jags as a favorite if he can continue to do that.
The favorite
because of the defense.
The favorite in the AFC.
Well, look, you think about it. When Denver ran the table, you have a defense that is just shut down. That's where you want to be in January.
No, there's no question, and they have that defense, especially as you mentioned with the matchup with New England, possibly with that offensive line against that front 7 for Jacksonville, which is crazy. But the Blake Bortles thing is fascinating, Steve, because not only is he playing the best ball of his career right now, the first time in his career, 3 straight games, multiple touchdown passes, no interceptions. You could make a very compelling argument. He's been the best quarterback in football in the month of December. 7 touchdown passes over the last 3 games, no interceptions, averaging about 300 yards a game. And remember, Doug Marrone started the season, the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, basically saying, we want to win by running the football and playing good defense and hope that Blake throws it 5 times a game. The transformation, not only for him, but the philosophy that Doug Marrone wanted to use has been striking.
Yeah, and to me, that's the secret, is don't ask. Blake can't carry all the water, so don't ask him to. And then what happened is this great defense got better. This running back got better. And so everyone around him kind of raised up the game. And trust me, as a quarterback, you're in that scenario where there's so much more air in the system. There's so much less stress. And so he was able to start to thrive. And now with the confidence, now, do you have confidence that he will go into a playoff game again in New England and play really well? Come on. You can't do that after a month. But if he could, that's why I say if he could, then all of a sudden the Jags become a really tough out. I mean, really tough. Not just, hey, their team coming on the come. They're actually going to do, they can run the table. So if Blake can play this well for 6 more weeks, no doubt that look, I'm overstating with favored, but if he does do that, who you think that defense is going to give up 28-35 to Tom Brady? Maybe so, but I think it'd be tough.
That defense is fun to watch.
And only 2 great corners, too.
Yeah, only 2 more games left in the regular season. MVP is a regular season award. Who, in your mind, is the leader right now?
For MVP?
Yes.
Boy, it comes and goes, doesn't it, every week? I think if Tom Brady finishes strong, I know it's redundant that for the 27th straight time he's going to be the MVP. But I just taking it all in context. And last week, remember, we were in Miami for the Monday night game when they just laid an egg, and they looked really poor. And that's on Monday night in Miami. They fly back and get there Tuesday morning at 6 in the morning. They get home, and then they turn around and go back to Pittsburgh, the way the Pittsburgh's playing. And he does that, and does that late in the game, and just carried this. I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of people to talk about, but Tom Brady sticks out in my head.
Well, certainly with the injuries to Wentz and Antonio Brown. Look, I think people get Brady fatigue, but we have Steve on NFL Live on every Thursday, and one of the categories we have is quarterback you want regardless, and he picks Tom Brady every week. So you're being consistent.
Until further notice.
Yeah, until further notice. He hasn't been an MVP since 2010. He's only been MVP twice, but it certainly looks like at 40, he's on his way.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, I have to ask you this.
On.
We had we were listening to the clip you had on with Ryan Russillo, and you were talking about the grit meter for all these quarterbacks. Right?
That was the worst interview in the history of my interviews, man. I'm sorry about that.
Well, don't worry. Be on this show, and we can probably top that. But I do think people need to understand why you're so infatuated with the grit meter, because your father's name is LeGrand, but his nickname is Grit.
I know, and he meant it, too. He's got gold teeth. When I was growing up, he'd kind of snarl at you. And I didn't realize he was such a teddy bear. He kind of faked it. Took me until I was about 25 to realize that. But when I was growing up, he was a tough guy. And he didn't ever hit us or spank us or kind of, and there wasn't even a threat. There was just kind of that sense that, like, he'd snarl at you. And actually, with growing up at the kitchen table, we'd be arguing or fighting down the basement, and we had this certain kind of wood floor where the chairs, where it would squeak when he'd back it up. And so we'd be at each other, all the brothers and sisters. We'd be at each other, and all of a sudden you hear the squeak of the chair. You're like, oh, and everyone would scatter, because then comes Grit.
There was an understanding, it sounds like. There was an understanding.
Yeah, you heard that squeak, and because he and the mom were at the dinner table talking, chat, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, that's enough.
Oh, that's great.
Time to scamper. All right, Steve, we know you got to catch a plane. We appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
Man. Sorry for the noise behind me. See you later.
Steve Young, the hammer of Havermeyer Park.
We did the same thing.
Yeah.
One of my grandparents' house, we'd go there. With all the families there, and all the kids would be downstairs. And if it got too raucous, you'd hear the chair get pushed back, and everybody would freeze, like, oh my God, here they come. Yeah, we're in trouble.
At least you got a warning shot.
Yeah.
You got a warning. A lot of times you don't get a warning shot.
You find a great hiding spot.
We got a warning shot there.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
On Monday, right around noon Central Time, 1 o'clock Eastern, Zeke Elliott walked to the Star in Frisco, Texas, rejoining the Dallas Cowboys after his 6-game suspension.
And his stay in Cabo, where it worked out.
On the golf course, by the way.
Wow. How about that? They made actual field for him to work out on. Likes of Eric Dickerson were down there, mentoring him and working him out, and he was doing workouts. I saw some of the pictures. He looked good. I mean, you can see why the dude has his shirt pulled up all the time. I would, too. I had abs like that.
Oh, you have abs like...
No, I don't.
No,
they're buried amongst about, a couple of loads of laundry. You know what I mean?
You had the six-pack. It's just covered up.
It's just covered up right now.
Winter time.
There you go.
You're keeping them warm.
Keeping my beer warm.
There you go. I have a one
horrible.
pack, so just so you know, that's also a bonus. So he's back, and the Cowboys have done their job. Mm-hmm. They have stayed afloat in the playoff race. They went 3-3 during that stretch where he wasn't there, and it was really a dramatic difference in those 3 games. The first 3, they did something that the Cowboys had never done in franchise history.
Right.
They failed to score 10 points in 3 straight games, and then in the final 3 games, 2 of them on the road, they scored over 30 in 2 of those 3 games. So the Cowboys mathematically are still alive to make the playoffs. So here's what happens, or has to happen, for Dallas to make the playoffs.
Okay.
First of all, they got to win out.
Right.
So they have Seattle coming to Dallas or Arlington Christmas Eve.
Right.
And it's a beleaguered Seahawks team. Let's start there. Do we think the Cowboys can beat the Seahawks?
Oh, I do think they can beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks obviously showed
they're a hot mess.
Vulnerable to the running game to see what Gurley did against them. Yep. And now you have Zeke coming back, some fresh legs. And I would imagine there's some rejuvenation there with the running game. So I'd imagine he would get his fair share of carries. So I believe they can pull off that win.
Okay, so let's give them the win there to go to 9-6. Then they've got to travel to Philadelphia for the final game of the year. And what makes this fascinating is that Philly may be playing for everything, or maybe playing for nothing.
So if the Eagles are playing for the number 1 seed overall, I think they'll beat the Cowboys. Okay. And if they're playing for nothing, I don't know the Doug Peterson mentality. I don't know if he rests people or what he's going to do. I mean, there's a thought.
I think you'd have to rest Foles, right?
Would you rest Foles, or do you want to give him more reps? Now, you sit there and say that and say, wait a minute, he started a decent amount of games in the NFL but then do you want to put him out there in harm's way when he's already the backup playing?
I mean, I was about to say, it might be time for Nate Sudfeld to get a little action.
So there is that thought process. So, again, I don't know how Doug Peterson does it, but so let's just say, though, that they rest some people, and that would open the door for Dallas to win the game if they need that win.
So let's give them like a 75% chance to win those 2 games if it's a nothing game for the Eagles, right?
Yes.
So let's assume that it's a nothing game for the Eagles, that's a 75% chance. Now, here's where it gets tricky for Dallas. They need other things to happen.
Yes, they do.
Okay, the Lions then need to lose 1 game to either the Bengals or the Packers.
Yeah, they're not losing to the Bengals.
The Bengals decided not to participate.
I mean,
Sunday
and the Packer game, I don't even know where it's at. Is that in Green Bay? So you could
it's at Green Bay.
Could have a foot of snow at that point as well. So we'd have to wait and see what the weather is there.
It's at Cincinnati, and then they're in Green. They're
home. They're in Detroit.
Yeah, that game's in Detroit.
In Detroit. Okay, so don't worry about the Green Bay weather.
Yeah, because they've already won at Lambeau Field. That was a Sunday night or a Monday night
again,
game. I can't remember. It was a Monday night game.
Here, so we asked that question: Is Aaron Rodgers playing?
Right.
Yeah. Or is he sitting? If Aaron Rodgers playing, then obviously they have a great chance to beat Detroit.
Okay, so let's say there's maybe a 50% chance for that to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Yeah. Then either the Falcons, Panthers, or Saints need to lose out. Okay?
Lose their last 2 games.
Yes, and Atlanta plays at New Orleans, then home for Carolina.
Right.
Certainly possible that they could lose those both games. Carolina plays Tampa Bay, then they're at Atlanta. Doesn't seem like they would lose both of those games. And then New Orleans plays Atlanta and at Tampa Bay.
Right.
So I think the most plausible path for the Dallas Cowboys to get back into the postseason of that scenario would probably be have Atlanta lose out, correct? Doesn't that seem to make the most sense?
So here's the thing. Let's just go where we're going here. You're a Cowboy fan, correct? You're kind of a Cowboy fan.
Kind of a Cowboy, yeah.
So you're kind of
it's not what it once was.
You're kind of working this. Cowboys aren't making the playoffs.
Yeah, I didn't.
They're not making the playoffs.
Okay.
You know who's going to be out? The Cowboys and the Seahawks are not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the loser of the game this week between Dallas and Seattle will be done. The other, I don't know what Seattle's road is, but if it's anything like the road like Dallas, A, I don't want to go through it, and B, because I'll just say they're not going to make it either. I think, and to me, the bigger question as we look at that matchup this week is the direction of these teams.
Right.
The direction of the Cowboys still has to be going up, correct? This has not been a great year for them. Zeke's sitting the 6 games. They haven't been what they were last year, but I still have high hopes for them with Dak, with Zeke. They're going to need a speedster at wide receiver at some point. They're going to have to get a heavy hitting number 1, I think.
They need speed.
They need speed. They do. Still love the O-line. You got Zeke, and then, the defense, I thought we saw, especially early on, some pass rushers, and they'll improve some, but I still like the arrow for the Cowboys. For Seattle, I don't know.
Well, that's an interesting
Seattle,
discussion.
I don't know. I mean, I know they signed some guys, but now you got guys hurt. When you have Pete Carroll saying Cam Chancellor has to decide if he wants to play football anymore with the neck injury he's had.
Well, it may not be up to him.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Richard Sherman, obviously out for the year. They have not taken care of that O-line whatsoever. So Russell Wilson is running for his life. So can they do that? We have seen teams take care of their O-lines pretty swiftly. Alex Mack going to Atlanta, the Rams taking care of their line this year, as we talked about as well. So, but they have to put some money into it. It didn't seem like they wanted to put any money into it at all on that line. So that to me is the bigger question is, where are these teams going forward? I still give a slight arrow up to the Cowboys going forward to next year. Seattle, some major questions, I think.
Well, look, when they won the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos and just smacked them around 43-8 in that game at MetLife Stadium, that season in 2013, they had the most cap space of any team in the NFL on their offensive line. Since that time, it's gone the exact opposite.
And it shows.
On the exact opposite way. And look, they thought they had something 2 years ago in the trade for Jimmy Graham.
Right.
But they gave up Max Unger.
I said that from the beginning.
The center who was the linchpin of that offensive line.
Without question.
Has not worked out.
No, it has not.
Has not worked out in any way, shape,
and
or form.
he's down there leading that New Orleans offensive line who's really gotten it together.
Yeah.
And they're doing well running the ball with their two-headed attack, taking the pressure off Breeze, and their defense is playing well. And Unger's been a key at center in that line.
The hammer and the cephalopod. Ingram
there you go.
And Alvin Kamara. By the way, did you see him again back in action on Sunday, Kamara? He's a bag of jelly. You cannot tackle him. It's unbelievable.
Some of these backs now that are obviously runners and catchers out of the backfield. Yeah. Le'Veon Bell obviously leads the way there. Kareem Hunt catching the balls. Todd Gurley, how much a receiver he's become as well. And then you mentioned a Kamara. I mean, it's been really. I love the running back position. The pure running back position may be dying a bit because, as I said, I think Leonard Fournette is going to have to start catching some passes as well. When I said the same thing about Gurley coming into the league when they're not used to catching passes in college, you got to make them that threat. And especially when they're so good running the ball, get them the ball any way you can.
Yeah. Look, the idea that the Drew Brees offense is not the Drew Brees offense anymore is kind of fascinating, right? I mean, Drew can still chuck it. Don't get me wrong.
But
they are a ground and pound.
And what happened the last time this happened? They won the Super Bowl.
They had great balance.
The last time they won the Super Bowl, they had this kind of a rushing attack. So,
the Seahawks thing is also interesting because that's been like, oh, they'll get there.
Yep.
I don't think that
is
the window closed now. Do you think the championship window is closed?
You would kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I guess a lot would depend on Chancellor, Sherman,
Earl
Thomas, who was nicked the year before,
and Bobby Wagner is not banged up. Cliff Avrill's out.
I mean, they have the names, they have the players, but can they all be together for a season? And then they have to address that offensive line.
Yeah, that's because they have made the choice, and it was a smart decision from a perspective of how this team was built, to pay that back line, to pay the Legion of Boom. And now I think they have to realize, hey, we need to start investing in other places. They got the kid, Shaquille Griffin, out of Central Florida, I think, who's a good-looking rookie cornerback for them. But they've got to sort of regroup how they built this team. And I'll give John Schneider a lot of credit, the GM there. They figured it out before. Yeah. They found a way to sort of build the team before they had to pay Russell. And that's the thing that always happens here, right? Once you pay the quarterback, you better have other things put in place.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that's been the big knock against the Colts in this scenario.
Incredible stat. If the playoffs, the old thing, if the playoffs started today, which they don't, but we're just 2 weeks away from having it squared away, there would be 5 NFC playoff teams that didn't make the playoffs last. We talk about this every year.
But this is 5 out of the 6 in one conference.
One conference. Eagles, Vikings, Rams, Panthers, Saints. The only returning playoff team would be the Falcons as it sits right now. That's amazing.
It is. We had this thing on NFL Live we used to do called 5 in, 5 out, and that was both the AFC and the NFC.
This is the NFC.
The fact that it's
only
5 in and 5 out from the NFC alone at this point would be absolutely fascinating. All right, coming up, better to give or receive, travel or host, real or fake. We'll tell you the best way to spend the holiday season. Golic and Wingo next. ESPN Radio, ESPN2.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
How critical is the fireplace to your Christmas experience?
You know, growing up, we had a real fireplace. We actually chopped the wood. My dad and listen, I swung a sledge with my dad when I was 12 doing side jobs. He was a bricklayer, so that wasn't an issue. It was a good workout too, by the way. And then
Me too. Can't you tell?
Mm-hmm. Then we would chop our wood. We had the real fireplace. And my dad actually made, as part of like the grate, he made tubes that curved out to the room. So, and you put the wood on that grate of tubes, and it heated up the tubes and blew out hot air.
Nice.
I mean, it was unbelievable what he did.
That's impressive.
It was fantastic. I couldn't do something like that. So I've lived in places where I've had real fireplaces, and then of course, flip a switch and it's a gas fireplace, which certainly doesn't warm your house nearly as much. But I love the look of a fireplace.
What do you have in your house now?
It's gas. It's a gas fireplace.
I am a traditionalist when it comes to a fireplace.
You know how to make a fire?
Oh, absolutely.
You can do it?
Oh, I'm like Allie's husband. I'm about pyro.
How many times you ever forget to open a flume when you start it off?
Never.
Yeah.
I also know if you have one there, put a little paper up and warm up the
it up.
flue, because you don't want that smoke coming back into the house.
Yes, you do.
It is amazing how often you do become your father.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like my dad, and by the way, my mom and dad are coming for Christmas from Palm Springs. We're very excited. Haven't seen them in a while, so we're really going to welcome them in. But my dad, when I was a kid, all he would say when he'd see a down tree, he'd say, "Oh, look at that firewood. Look at that firewood. That'd make good firewood." I'm like, why are you obsessed with firewood? And now, like the minute it gets into October and it dips below 50, all I want to do is, because there's nothing like the pop of that firewood.
True. Very true.
When you have good, dry firewood, and it's pop, 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 pop,
you're right.
pop, pop.
And the smell as well. I'm
great.
with you.
Now,
with you.
Cleaning up the ashes is a you-know-what.
That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, we've become very quick with the fake tree.
Yes.
Easy
I'm all
to put
about
up,
the fake tree, so I'm
easy
kind
to
of
put
conflicted
away.
Here. Yeah.
Flip on a switch. You got a gas fireplace. You got the look of the fire going instead of bringing in the wood.
Yeah.
Getting the kindling, starting the fire, the whole deal, keeping it going.
And I'm kind of like dipping my toe in the water because we have the fire pit in the backyard.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's propane. We just light that sucker and let it go.
That's a beautiful thing.
And just sit around there. But I am a real traditionalist when it comes to a real wood-burning fire in the house.
So another question we have out there is, would you rather host for the holidays or travel? And when we say travel, we mean you got to get your family's got to get on a plane.
It's a nightmare.
Not a 2-hour drive, which you could all jump in the car.
Not over the river and through the woods.
Yeah.
No.
You got to get on a plane and travel. Right now, 54% of the people say host. I like McKelly says host, my house, my rules.
I like it. But then you're bringing in other people to your house. That's the other issue.
You are.
I mean, you're losing control of your inner sanctum, for lack of a better term. That's the only issue. That's the only issue I have with it.
I don't know where I'd like to go on that one, because I'm like one of those that I'd like to leave when I want.
Yeah.
But if you're hosting, it's very difficult. Where's Mike? Oh, he went upstairs and is in bed.
Yeah.
And everybody else is in your house.
Yeah.
You kind of can't, if you're somewhere else,
can't drift away,
and you feel like you want to go, you can.
How about hosting a destination Christmas? That might be the best way to do it, right? Like you just take everybody and go, like at a warm, or either like a ski resort, or a warm,
like
weather,
a destination wedding.
Exactly. Warm weather. We're just going to get away for a few days or maybe a week in Christmas.
I'd like to go to a destination like that, but I don't want to be the host. I don't want to be the main person.
Yeah.
I don't want that I don't want that responsibility.
So then you're abdicating both, because you don't want to travel and you don't want to host.
You know what I want to be? I want to be that guy that you say, "Hey, can you go pick up some ice? Can you go pick up a 12-pack? Can you go pick up a bottle of vodka?" Yeah. Because then I can go and I can be gone for like a couple hours. Yeah.
Errands become important.
Exactly right. All right, a few other things to do.
You guys need anything? I'm going to run out, and it's like that car commercial. Oh, you wanted this thing? I'll go back and get the other one.
You time it up. You say, "Okay, I'm going to go do some errands. When's dinner going to be ready?" And then you come back 5 minutes before dinner's ready to go.
And then you say, "You need any help? Can I help you at all with that?" No, I'm good. Okay, I was out running the errands.
You can be the hero. You can be the hero.
There it is. Who was the hero last night at Staples Center? That would be Kobe.
Yes, he was.
When we come back on Golic and Wingo, what was it like to be in the Staples Center for Kobe's jerseys retirement?
There you go.
Again, 8 and 24, both in the Raptors. That's next. Stay with us. Golic and Wingo on a Holly Jolly Week.